Who are these people?
Meanwhile, like, we can't afford school lunches still.
Right.
You
And
know.
like we did a report on this, I think back in May, that due to the pandemic, essentially schools were getting universal lunches federally, like there was a waiver, but that waiver expired in June. And now we are resulting in like we still have food shortages, supplies, uh uh like we still people are not making the money that they're used to. We're still in a pandemic and people are struggling, and we just resorted back to the means tested, let like you have to pay for lunch or have a reduced lunch, or you have a cleaning lunch, but you have to fill out paperwork for that, and it's just a lot of red tape, to ensure that kids are getting the lunch. Like, it's just a mess, like, speaking anecdotally. So this is just kind of a follow-up to that story, since we reported on it. And as I said, this is this will probably end up being another rant, but for me, more tied to work, and this is personal for me since I'm a teacher and I experiencing this right now, and I work in an affluent public school. But school lunch is too costly for a growing number of families. Will White House pledge help? The Biden administration just laid out a strategy to expand free meals to 9 million more students by 2032.
Yeah.
9 million more by 2032. How's
Mm-hmm.
that going to help all kids?
Or the kids that need food now
Right.
by 2032. By
Or the
2030. So when would that be? Is that after? Hold on. I just want to do math here for a second. Biden's administration,
in a
who will
decade,
end right, but his first term
assuming that Democrats will be in office then.
will end in 24, right? Like, and then let's say, dear God, I hope not, that like he has a second term that would still only go to like
2028.
2028, and then
And we will probably have, continuing the fuckery that we have right now, it'll be guaranteed that we'll have a Republican
this will be worse, or right? Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And they will cut this immediately.
Even if it's a pittance, they would still like,
No, we don't want it.
Yeah.
But then again, the world might be just burning within the next decade. But
yeah, we should be able to feed everyone for free, let alone like.
Right. But to continue, the end of universal free school meals has left a growing number of families in a financial quandary, unable to keep up with school lunch payments, yet unable to qualify for free or reduced meals. A flood of families have applied for a price break now that school meals cost money for the first time since the early days of the pandemic, and sky-high prices of other essential constrict parents' budgets. Many families are within $100 of the modest limit for qualifying for free or reduced price meals, according to school nutrition directors. I cried a lot with families, said Angie Ritchie, nutrition services supervisor of Roseville area schools in Minnesota. I had to tell one family of 6 that they were $33 over.
Oh, God.
Jesus Christ.
That's just $33. Okay.
$33 over for a family of 6.
Yeah.
A dozen school nutrition directors from districts large and small, urban and rural, wealthy and low income, told NBC News they had to reject applications from a mother whose insulin price rose significantly, a father who lost his job during the pandemic has found only part-time work since, and a mother of 5 whose only income is disability payments because she has cancer, among others.
Easy.
The Biden administration last week announced a years-long goal of making universal school meals permanent, but requires the approval of a divided Congress, and advocates are pushing for immediate action. Wait, pause.
Okay.
Reef, who controls the House?
Republicans.
Allegedly, though.
I mean, what's
I mean,
the shit? It's the I know the name now. Like the proletariat, but that's not it. It's some other tariat. You know what I'm saying?
right, but it's like this will end up being another rant, but like, because I just got heated just now just reading this. But like, Democrats have control of the House,
Yeah,
Senate, White
parliamentarian.
House.
The
You're telling
parliamentarian.
me that they
That's it.
cannot band together for something so simple as making sure kids are eating?
Yeah.
You have to like.
This should be priority number one. Like, where's
The
your
approval of a
priorities?
divided Congress, who it's basically divided amongst them. I think in a lot of ways they gave up.
It's divided amongst themselves. Yes.
Themselves.
Yeah.
It's divided
Yeah.
up in the old party essentially, because
Such a fucking good way
Republicans
to
are
put that.
a non-issue. So it's not like, and so like I think the article is alluding that it's Republicans. No, it's divided among themselves.
Yeah.
They gave away the game here by saying that. Anyway, the White House strategy starts by expanding access to free meals to 9 million children by 2032. While anti-hunger experts lauded I would have done that, they also said many families could not wait for help.
Yeah. How are you going to help them now?
Right. These changes toward expanding. Oh,
sorry.
Wait. Yeah. So
you hit it. My bad. Go ahead.
Okay. Got it. So thanks. These changes towards expanding access to all students need to happen ASAP, said Laurie Atkins, president of the New School Nutrition Association, a trade organization representing 50,000 school nutrition employees. Some kids are coming to school with no food from home and no money. Discussions about the cost of lunch are now commonplace in school cafeterias, said Angie Branch, child nutrition director at Gooding School District in Idaho, who also leads the Idaho School Nutrition Association. I've never had as many children say, "Oh, I can't eat, I don't have money," Branch said, adding that students still receive lunch even if they cannot pay. As children, they shouldn't have to be bothered by that.
Yeah.
In Charian, Pennsylvania, high school senior Marshall Trost had a hard time justifying the $2.55 price of a school lunch because he knows his family budget is tight. The car broke down before they found out school would be charging for meals again, and Marshall, 17, says he sometimes skips lunch so he isn't adding to the burden. There's a point where you can get used to being hungry, he says. On days where he doesn't eat lunch, he uses change he finds around the house and purchases a small bag of chips from a nearby gas station convenience store after school instead.
That's fucked.
He tries to ignore his hunger at school in those days. I'll be honest, Marshall says, sometimes it does get a bit distracting in class. Who qualifies for free lunch now? With universal school meals over as of June, the threshold for qualifying for discounted meals has now returned to pre-pandemic rules in most of the country, at or below 130% of the federal poverty level, and between 130 and 185% of the federal poverty level for reduced school meals. This school year, a family of four earning $36,075 a year or less is eligible for free meals, and a family of four earning $51,338 or less is eligible for reduced price meals. The price of school meals varies across the country. According to Agriculture Department most recent data available, which is from the 2016 to 2017 school year, school lunch costs at average of $2.57. For a family with two kids, that would mean lunch would cost $5.14 a day, or $925.20 for a 180-day school year. For a family with an income of $52,000 a year, it becomes a significant expense, especially given that Moody's and Analytics has found that the cost of basic necessities is up $460 per month compared with a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
Many have expected meals to be free for another school year, me included, but Congress did not extend the waiver, with Republicans reporting opposed it because of the approximately $11 billion price tag. But yet we're able to send money to Ukraine, no problem,
No
right?
problem. No problem.
Nonetheless, a majority of Americans are in favor of universal school meals. 63% of voters support legislation. That's honestly the fact that it's 63%, I don't buy that statistic. But moving on. 63% of voters support legislation that would make free school meals permanent, available to all students, according to the Hunger Group Food Research and Action Center.
Yeah.
Those in favor acknowledge it requires a hefty funding, but says it should be a priority. Kids getting fed should not be political, said Billy Beach, nutrition director at Adele DeSoto Minburn Community School District in Iowa, and the School Nutrition Association of Iowa president. Stopgap measures for those who cannot pay. If students cannot pay for school lunch, that doesn't mean they are denied food. In recent years, most districts eliminated lunch shaming policies and feed children the same meal as everyone else, then contact their parents to alert them to unpaid meal balances. The kindness comes at a cost. Some districts have seen their meal debt balloon. Heather Plain, Child Nutrition Director at Bonneville Joint School District number 3093 in Idaho, said the district incurred more than $6,000 in meal debt within the first week of school. Part of the problem was not everyone knew school meals cost money again. The district has received 3,200 applications so far for free and reduced lunches among its more than 13,000 students. Plain said she found it frustrating to need to do paperwork again after 2 years of being able to serve free meals without it. It really becomes exclusionary, she says. Getting families to fill out paperwork is not always easy. Many are busy and some are worried about sharing private information, said Krista Hamilton Neal, Nutrition Services Director of Stillwater Public Schools in Oklahoma. My great fear is that someone is not applying because it's going to cause a problem with their citizen status, she said, even though immigration status does not affect eligibility and applicants cannot be deported based on the form. Actually, I never thought of that, to be honest, that some families who are immigrants are concerned about that.
Yeah.
For Haleyville City Schools in Alabama, where the number of students who qualify for free or reduced meals is 71%, meal debt hovers around $75, said Emma Ann Hallman, Child Nutrition Director and President-elect of the Alabama School Nutrition Association. This is in large part thanks to donors in the community who volunteer to pay off meal debt, something that often happens in other districts too, but that's not sustainable or scalable. All 12 nutrition directors who spoke to NBC News said the ideal solution would be bringing universal school meals back immediately. They ride the bus for free, they get the books for free, Plain said. Let's just feed our kids. We've proven that we can do it. With universal meals over on the federal level, states step in. While most places have returned to pay meals, 5 states continue to offer universal school meals. Others offer free breakfast for all students. So basically the ones in orange, they have permanent universal meals. So that's right now California and Maine. Is there anything down south? No. And then the ones that are dark blue, proposed bill for permanent. The light blue is for this academic year only. So this is Nevada, New Hampshire, Massachusetts, and then the rest of the gray.
Yeah, everything in gray are no longer. Jesus Christ.
That's sad.
That's rage-inducing.
Right.
Like, especially with the economy the way it is right now.
Right. Actually, no. I'm just going back to the bottom. Massachusetts and Vermont offer free meals this year while proposing bills for permanent universal meals. Connecticut is offering free meals to all students for the first several months. Okay.
Right. Yeah. Like several months.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Jennifer, a New Hampshire mom of a fourth grader who asked to be identified by first name only to protect her child's privacy, says she wishes her state was among those who had taken action. On disability, because she can no longer work due to an autoimmune condition, she was shocked to see that her disability payments plus child support from a recent divorce disqualified her daughter for free or reduced price lunch. Her daughter prefers school lunch, but it's more cost effective to pack a lunch from home, which is typically a sunflower butter and jelly sandwich, applesauce, and a Go-Gurt yogurt tube. While anti-hunger advocates said the goal is securing nationwide universal school meals, they have proposed compromises. One is raising the threshold for those who qualify for free and reduced price meals nationwide, a change that could be especially helpful for applicants in places with a high cost of living, something that the application does not take into account.
Pause. Go back. Real quick. So where was it? Okay. What about Colin? What about the 10%? I mean, this is a lady who makes just barely too much. She's on disability, and she just went through a divorce and is getting like child support.
Right.
Can't work due to an autoimmune disease.
Right. This is why means tested anything is bullshit.
Oh,
it's bullshit because it doesn't account for all these idiosyncrasies of people and life that would otherwise, if under normal circumstances, that they able to pay or do certain things that they can't.
We're fucked.
Basically, Missy, yes, we are. Yeah, we're fucked, and we're going to continue to be fucked. Another is eliminating the reduced price category so kids receive a free meal instead, something that was proposed for this school year, but ultimately cut from legislation that extended other nutrition waivers. Senator Rand Paul pushed for the return of the reduced price category. A spokesperson for Paul said in an email, "Spending money we don't have causes inflation that disproportionately hurts low income." Shut the fuck up. Families are already hurting, especially if they're on the cusp of qualifying, said Lori Danella, Director of Nutrition Services for Lee's Summit R7 School District in Missouri. "I wish there was some way to help when those families just don't quite make it," she said. "I've shed more tears this year than I have in my 24 years of food service."
Like,
what the fuck?
Right. Just as an anecdotal story, last year, and keep in mind for folks, like I live in DC, but I work at a public school in an affluent area of DC. Like last year when we had the lunch waiver, dude, it was so much easier just to take, like, families can have, and these are families that are well-to-do, like for all intents and purposes, they could afford, like, I'm not going to make the assumption for all of them, but for many of them, they could afford, to pay, for school lunches for many of them. Like, we don't have that many students at my school that qualify for reduced or free lunches, but it was just so much easier for families because it's like, it gave them more flexibility. Like if something happened or like if there was an emergency that they couldn't offer their child like a home lunch like normal, then they can have the resort to the school lunch. And it was totally fine. There was no paperwork. We were able like to get lunches for kids who like might forget a lot easier, especially for my kids who are pre-K, who sometimes might forget to tell us, "Oh, I need a school lunch." It was just so much easier just to give it to kids who needed it. And now that we're back to the system, it's a lot more rigid. And like, like in the mornings, like when I do the lunch count, I'm like terrified because like if I mess up, that means it fucks up the food service system for that one child who, if I forget, or like, if they forget that they need a school lunch. And so like it's just more painstaking for me, and just generally in terms of like filling out the paperwork, and then like they have to account for making sure that every kid who asks for school lunch, we can't give any extra, basically, is what is basically what it's come down to now. Whereas for the last couple of years we didn't have that concern. It was just so much easier. Like just give everyone kids lunch. If they want it, they can get it, and if they don't need it, they don't need to have it. But like all this bullshit as far as filling out forms and then having to prove your income, and then like it's just so much more of the bureaucracy and the red tape that's just so unnecessary. And actually I'm going to go off on Jamal Bowman for a second, because dude was a former principal, and like I saw that he was tweeting, in terms of like having plant-based lunches at schools, which is not necessarily a bad thing, fine, but like how about we get to the root of the problem again and being like, can we offer every kid a lunch? Like just give them a lunch, and we can talk about the extra stuff later, like plant-based or what, if it was whatever. But like, can we ensure that every child is able to get food when they go to school, please? So like, again, going off on the squad, and like for Joel Bowman especially, like we're a fucking teacher. This should be like a slam dunk for you to push for legislation like that. And I actually checked his Twitter to see if he's made a push, as far as universal school lunches. Like I think Ilhan Omar had back in the spring, and she was making the call, like we need to do something now. We need to do something now. And now the thing is expired. So I don't know.
You don't know. It sounded like you knew. Dude, that story frustrates me so much. Just seeing that like graphic of just
Right.
all that light gray of that's where your kids can't eat.
Right.
Like that was maddening.
Yeah, but again, it just goes to prove the inaction of the squad. Going back to Corey again, it's just kind of like you're speaking to the issues, but not to the problem. You need to call out the problem in order to problem to be healed. I'm kind of paraphrasing what Malcolm X has said regarding, like policy, legislation, whatever. But like, but yeah, kids are not eating.
Yeah.
This 17-year-old is so worried about his family, he gets chips. Even in that, it's not healthy.
The other child was like barely a peanut butter sandwich and like a Go-Gurt. Like,
right. That's not lunch either, honestly.
I mean, like, but it's just the fact of like, they have no options. And this is, finally, they just have to like, I don't know. It's just, let alone the failing infrastructure of the classrooms, no teachers.
Sunflower butter is not necessarily cheap now either.
No.
I mean, peanut butter and jelly used to be the cheap option. Like, that was the bare minimum of what you get, like, for a cheap meal.
Yeah.
Now, sunflower butter, even peanut butter is not, and like in certain schools you can't have nuts, so you can't have peanut butter. So you have to have sunflower butter as an alternative, but that's not even cheap now either. So it's just like,
I mean,
there really are no options for kids anymore.
When the kids are bringing sardines and crackers for like lunch at school, but you should probably be thinking about how to get them like normal food, you know?
And we can have the discussion like, like school lunches are basically prison food. Yeah, I mean, that's a discussion for another time. And yeah, it's definitely a valid question in terms of like how we can have school lunches that are filling, but at the same time, like be that make sure that students are healthy and that they're able to eat it and enjoy it. Like that's another discussion for another time. But can we ensure at least at minimum that children are getting food at least to eat? And then we can talk about all this extra stuff from there after the fact.
Right.
But people like, again, John Bowman is talking about, oh, let's have plant-based lunches. Fine, but not everyone is going to be able to eat it.
Yeah.
So you got
How much you want to bet?
all wrong.
How much you want to bet you're going to hear stories of teachers paying for kids' lunches?
Oh no,
or bringing food. Yeah,
that happens
more than once.
Yeah, like that happens in certain schools. Like teachers, out of the kindness of their heart, and they make no money, are offering to give students money in order just so they can eat.
Yeah,
like that shouldn't need to happen at a school.
Yeah, and I don't need kids that are hangry. That's already going to be difficult.
Right.
But